one of you a very Merry Christmas. This guy's screaming, "We want Roy Moore." He's right. So get out and vote for Roy Moore.
CNN was forced to walk back a story about Donald Trump Jr.
Oh, thank you, CNN. Thank you so much.
The Wall Street Journal reported that Mueller
Bob Mueller, I mean, with all due respect to his career, this was a really, really bad call. He needs to clean house.
President Trump declaring a state of emergency, ordering federal aid to California as out-of-control wildfires ravage the state. This as the first fire-related death is confirmed. U.S. skier Lindsey Vonn promising to represent Americans at the Winter Olympics, but not every American.
What about the Americans who are Trump supporters that voted for President Donald Trump? Are we not Americans? Does she not want to represent us?
I got Ebony K. Williams on the couch with us, so that's
great to have you.
Definitely just as good as being there, although it's going to be a great game.
I'm just following y'all's great lead this morning. This
Well,
is great to be on the couch with you.
It's a moderate lead. We're doing the best we can.
Are you having
You're
fun?
keeping us
Oh,
on
this
board.
is really, really so fun. And it's flying. Man,
is
they
flying
say
by.
time flies when you have fun.
It's true. We hope, though, your morning isn't flying by. We hope that you're under the covers, turning on the TV, maybe getting a cup of coffee, maybe your dog went and got you the newspaper. That would all be fantastic. But some of you are up texting or emailing us your pictures because we asked for them. What are your traditions for the Army-Navy game? Keep sending them in to friends@foxnews.com. We got this picture from Kirk. He says, enjoying my morning coffee with G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe. Oh, little G.I. Joe. Go Army, beat Navy. That's my man right there.
That
I like
is
it.
awesome. And also, we got this picture from William. His son is certainly excited for Navy to beat Army. You'll like that, Griff.
I love it. And this from
So
Julie.
cute.
My parents were at Army-Navy game in 1946 on Thanksgiving. It was first game he had been to since World War II when he was a captain in the Army. My mom went into labor and was rushed to the hospital where she had me on Thanksgiving Day.
Wow.
That's awesome,
is indeed
really.
a
Really
tradition.
cool. In these families, you talk about political partisanship and propaganda. The real propaganda is Lago today. I was corrected. So a shorter trip from the campaign rally to his country club there. But he's tweeting this morning saying this. He said, great evening last night in Pensacola, Florida. Arena was packed to the rafters. The crowd was loud, loving, and really smart. They definitely get what's going on. Thank you, Pensacola. And so here's we couldn't play all 1 hour and 15 minutes of the speech. We did that last night live on the channel.
There are a lot of
so this
headlines.
morning we're going to give you a quick summary of what the president said. Take a listen.
Let me begin by wishing each and every one of you a very Merry Christmas, right? And I can think of no better Christmas present for the American people than giving you a massive tax cut. It's time for Congress to adopt a pro-American immigration agenda. Every member of Congress should be asked where they stand on these issues. We want people that are going to protect your gun rights, great trade deals instead of the horrible deals. And we want jobs, jobs, jobs. So get out and vote for Roy Moore. Do it. Oh, these resistors resist. Hillary resisted, and you know what happened? She lost the election in a landslide. Germany's paying 1%. We're paying 4%. So I said to Angela, Angela, send a little of that cash flow our way. I've said it so often that my job is not to be president of the world. My job is to be president of the United States of America. Yet there are powerful forces in Washington trying to sabotage our movement. Our revolution didn't end on November 8th. That was just the beginning. The greatest adventure still lies ahead. Never give in.
I want to quickly comment on that tweet. So much in that speech, but in the tweet, you know, I was a reporter that covered the protest outside the Trump rallies. I went to both Pensacola ones. There were thousands outside that couldn't get in the packed thing, and I think he wanted to make a point to acknowledge the crowd hasn't gotten smaller. President tweeting this past week about his approval ratings and the fact that he has kept his base, and he certainly gave them what they wanted last night.
He said that last night. There was a big crowd outside as well. He has not only kept his base, base, they're almost even more enthusiastic in light of the resistance that he's faced. We got a new tweet from the president on the media, which we'll bring to you in a second as well. But he was tweeting, he was in Florida last night, Ebony, but that's right across the border from another state.
Oh, that's Alabama. So you heard him mention Roy Moore, of course, in that speech last night. A big contingent of very enthusiastic Roy Moore fans, is a tweet from the president at the rally last night. We can't have a Pelosi, Schumer, liberal Democrat. Jones in that important Alabama Senate seat need your vote to make America great again. Jones will always vote against what we must do for our country. And so nothing veiled, certainly, about that tweet. The president being very clear in his support of Roy Moore in what he's just really plainly outlining as just a partisan need for a Republican to retain that seat.
That's right. He's litigated the fact that the Democrats in the Senate are nothing but obstructionists. He's never going to get a vote from them, even on tax cuts. It was 51-49. It's not new at all. But that realization says, hey, even if there's controversy around Roy Moore, he's a vote for the agenda that my voters voted for, and ultimately we need him. So I think that's the theme that's coming up.
And we should point out, geographically, Pensacola is a part of what we call Florabama, right? So a lot of Alabama voters certainly would have been in that crowd.
That panhandle, absolutely. It's cultural.
He talked a lot about last night about the fake news media. Well, this morning he's up continuing that litigation with another tweet just minutes ago. The president saying, fake news, CNN, he's also called it very fake news at times, made a vicious and purposeful mistake yesterday. They were caught red-handed, just like lonely Brian Ross at ABC News, who should be immediately fired for his, quote, mistake. Watch to see if CNN fires you. As I've said, he put out a contest for the fake news trophy, a lot of people competing for it, and he sees it in the White House. If I'm not being careful, if I'm not being covered fairly or carefully, then I'm going to punch back.
Let's talk about what he's talking about there, though, in that tweet, and that is, we've seen recent examples, the ABC one, where it was misrepresented that Mike Flynn was going to testify against the president. The CNN one, the WikiLeaks, a specific mistake made over a date, right? CNN reporter saying 10 days early that Don Jr. got a WikiLeaks thing, but it actually turned out he got the email after it was released. A very clear mistake. The CNN reporter on that saying that it was a mistake on the source, but still, as you've pointed out, Ebony, it is an important mistake because we're talking about the biggest story of the year, the Russia probe, and these kind of mistakes cannot be made when we're trying to talk about the #1 issue.
Not if you want to make a credible argument around essentially indicting, and for some people they really would mean that literally, the President of the United States. And the President also last night talked a lot about the rigged system. Of course, that's the swamp. It's also the FBI in this investigation. Take a listen.
It's being proven we have a rigged system. This is a sick system from the inside. And, there's no country like our country, but we have a lot of sickness in some of our institutions, and we're working very hard. We've got a lot of them straightened out. Did you see all the corrections the media's been making? They took this fraudster from ABC, they suspended him for a month, and then CNN apologized just a little while ago. They apologized. Oh, thank you, CNN. Thank you so much.
Oh, wait. Was that sarcasm, you think,
I think
Pete?
just a little bit. Okay. It's like when Jillian earlier in the show said that I'm always right.
That
totally
was total sarcasm.
And definitely not true. But what the president is litigating is this drip, drip, drip of what we've seen over the last couple of days, frankly, this last week, where members of the so-called special counsel and the former FBI and DOJ agents, some of which are still there, some of which are out, have been exposed for overt political muscle, just happened to find himself on election night at what was supposed to be, in their minds, the Hillary Clinton victory celebration on election night. Instead, it was the opposite. But it's one thing to have a political affiliation, which everyone is allowed to have. Sure. It's another thing to give a donation, which everyone is allowed to do. It doesn't mean you can't be unbiased. But if you're leading what the president calls the witch hunt of the special impeachment counsel against the president, and you're celebrating and hoping that Hillary Clinton is the president, it shows that there's more than just bias there. There's investment in Hillary Clinton as opposed to calling by
objectivity.
That's right.
I was going to say, and I thought Corey actually had some really strong points on this issue of objectivity and really the rigging of the system.
Look, it's the deep state. It's those holdovers in the government who are still there from the Obama administration. It's the FBI agents. And let me say this, 99.99% of these guys and women are the best in the business. But we find out now that we've got one agent, maybe two, right, who are in charge of the Clinton investigation, changing what the wording should be, not putting Huma Abedin under oath, not putting Cheryl Mills under oath, different sets of rules for different sets of people. Mike Flynn lies to the FBI. He's a felon. Hillary, Cheryl, and Humalai, it's okay, don't worry about it. That is the problem, and those are the people that are trying to take down this president.
And don't forget that the judge that Mike Flynn pled guilty to, Judge Contreras, a federal judge, recusing himself, and we still don't know why.
We don't know why, and I, as a lawyer, you know, it looks a little weird to me because you accepted the plea, so you thought you were appropriate on the bench in that capacity, but when it comes to the sentencing, we see the recusal. Not good.
We're seeing a lot of changes, and you wonder if any of it would have been exposed if Hillary Clinton had won, but instead she didn't. The investigation, in some ways, is falling apart. All right, still ahead, a group of conservative students stands up for the flag after their fellow classmates protest, but now they're the ones getting punished.
And President Trump touting the economy and his impact on your investments.
And by the way, how are your 401ks doing? Not too bad, right? By the way, how are your 401ks doing? Not too bad, right? Economic growth last quarter surged to 3.3%. You know it. You know where it was, right? When we started, you know where it was? Dingo.
Dingo. President Trump touting a booming economy at his PACT rally in Florida. But how have the president's policies impacted your investments?
Well, here to break it all down for us, the host of Varney and Company on the Fox Business Network. I call him the king of Fox Business along with Lou.
They do?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Stuart Varney.
Giving away titles.
Good to see you. All right, so Stu, help us see this. Obviously, the good news is the economy is looking just smashing. It really is, from 401ks to this 3% growth and expecting it to get bigger and better for next year. Tell us about that.
Okay, this is an area where President Trump is winning, and the Democrats are actually not doing terribly well. Point number one, we've got the best growth rate in a decade. Number two, we have the lowest unemployment in 17 years. Number three, yesterday we got this jobs report for November. We're gaining steam, gaining momentum. And now we're getting tax cuts. I'm pretty sure we're going to get tax cuts. And that will mean an influx of more spendable cash on the part of consumers right from the get-go in January, plus more business investment. That's why I say we're going to get, I think, this is a forecast, an opinion,
everybody get ready.
4% growth next year.
Because of the tax cuts, right? So we now are hearing...
You've got an infrastructure plan coming too. Now, I don't know whether that's going to be successful, but it's on the cards to get in place next year more spendable stimulus for the economy.
So is it fair to say then that in the first year, the regulations that the president dealt with got us to the GDP over 3%, and now you're saying add tax cuts, it's only going to go north?
That would be my opinion. But you've got to add to these, to the deregulation that we've seen this year, add to that the hope of tax cuts to come. When business thinks, you know, maybe we're going to get an increase in profitability, consumers may think, I'm going to get some more money. When you start feeling like that, you start to spend more immediately, hoping that that's going to be true in the future.
Let me ask you this, though, Stuart, because I think we saw that immediately. It was literally almost on election night. You started to see this anticipation around what was to come. Let me ask you how long you think it's going to remain anticipatory.
Well, when we get tax cuts, they'll be implemented on January the 1st. It's no longer anticipatory. It is reality as of January the 1st. But you're right. Go back to that election night, November the 8th. When he was elected, you know, come November the 9th on that morning, consumer confidence just bounced up immediutly. And the stock market started the most extraordinary rally. I mean, it's huge. Your 401k, our viewers, you want to get to Bitcoin, hold on a second. Our viewers, if they've got an IRA, 401k, or a corporate pension plan, that money in those pension funds is probably up between a quarter and a third in the last year. That is huge.
It's huge. I mean, there's no doubt that the stock market rally was you can start the clock on election night and move forward, and that is due to the confidence in this president. But, you know, President Obama himself has said, thanks, Obama. You know, I laid the groundwork for this, and he's trying to take credit for the rally in GDP and jobs and others. What do you say to that argument?
I say that he stabilized the economy in a very difficult position in 2008 when he first took over the White House. Fair enough. But his policies did not produce growth. They did not produce prosperity. And by reversing those policies, and that's what President Trump has done, that's what's given us
You're talking about regulation.
growth. Yes.
Got it.
The regulation and, as you say, the anticipatory.
And just the feeling that your government is working for business business as opposed to adversarial to it? Which is
Look, I'm a capitalist, okay? I want to see vigor, dynamism, and growth for the economy. That will restore us to prosperity. And capitalism is the way to go.
Can you come over on Christmas morning and deliver more good news? We're going to need that.
Well, if you twist my arm.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Stuart Varney.
Thank you.
All right, coming up, skier Lindsey Vonn says she will represent the Americans at the Olympics, but just not President Trump and not at the White House. Olympic hero, the man behind the Miracle on Ice, captain and hockey legend Mike Irizoni, reacts to that coming up.
Plus, CNN is forced to make yet another correction on their Russia coverage. The president, well, as you can expect, called them out for it.
CNN apologized just a little while ago. They apologized. Oh, thank you, CNN. Thank you so much. You should have been apologizing for the last 2 years.
Diamond and Silk. Diamond and Silk are here to react next. That's going to be fantastic. Hey! Oh, man, I love Diamond and Silk.
City too, right?
Oh, yeah, Uber Eats, man. All right, President Trump taking another aim at the media in Florida last night.
They took this fraudster from ABC. They suspended him for a month. And then CNN apologized just a little while ago. They apologized. Oh, thank you, CNN. Thank you so much.
More of that famous President Trump sarcasm. This after CNN was forced to backpedal on a story about the Trump team.
That's right. Joining us now with their unique take on all of this, social media stars and Trump supporters, Diamond and Silk. Good morning to you both, and Merry Christmas. Thanks for being here. The specifics on this story of CNN, who the president is going after on Twitter this morning as well, in addition to the podium, is they reported that Trump campaign officials received an email from an unknown sender on September 4th that linked to unreleased Wikipedia or WikiLeaks documents. Well, they forgot a 1. They should have had a 1 in there instead of a 0, because they actually got that email on September 14th, 1 day after those WikiLeaks had been already released publicly. So what looked like collusion was actually 10 days early and fake news. What do you make of this?
Well, you know what? CNN is starting to look like a puppet show. They sit on their platform like stage puppets and spread lies. That's right. That's why we call them the very fake news. Now, whoever put this story out, they need to be fired. And CNN need to understand, as a news organization, you are supposed to speak the news, report the news, but not be the news. That's right.
Let me ask you guys, now we've got not just CNN, but we've got ABC, and there's some other stories relating to a Deutsche Bank account, but we have multiple incidences now, Diamond and Silk, on the biggest story of the year, the Russia probe. I've been hammering it all morning. For folks like yourself out in America, what does it say about their trust in the media?
Listen, we don't trust the media.
That's right.
We know that they're trying to feed us a narrative so that they can win in 2020, and it's not going to work. We don't need them feeding us or spoon feeding us anything. We can think for our own self, and we see the bias, and we don't like it as Americans.
That's right.
Also, ladies, John Lewis, a civil rights icon, of course, he's refusing to attend the opening of the Civil Rights Museum down in Mississippi today because President Trump will be there. Ladies, what is your take on that? And specifically, let me ask you, although he won't be there, do you believe that John Lewis has earned the right to handle this situation as he sees fit?
Listen, I believe John Lewis, who's supposed to be a civil rights icon, who was against segregation, is now segregating this president. Who was against discrimination is now discriminating against this president, which is wrong. I think that John Lewis' mindset is back in the 60s. This is 2017. We already can drink out of the same water fountain, eat at the same water fountain, eat at the same lunch counter. Now it's time for us to come to the table together, hand in hand, and solve problems. And if John Lewis can't do that, what he needs to do is go home somewhere and sit down, pass the torch to somebody that's willing to come to the table so we can move this country forward hand in hand.
And also recognize that Martin Luther King had a dream. It's time for us to wake up from the dream and start fulfilling that dream. There's so many people that's still stuck in that dream, and that's why they're still running around here talking about we shall overcome and don't realize we've already done overcame, and now it's time for us as American people to come up.
That's right.
Now, ladies, let me ask you, you did reference, at least one of you said that he was a supposed civil rights icon. Is there a dispute there from your lens as to whether John Lewis...
he's a civil rights icon.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me, let me clarify. He's a civil rights icon, but what really gets me is that they're still fighting. These older icons, civil rights leaders, are still fighting a fight from the 60s. We done overcame that. This
That's
is
right.
2017. Let's move this country forward. And if we have a president that wants to make this place great again for all people, then let's help him do it.
That's right.
Well, no, your passion is understood, because when people won't even come to the table, whether it's Chuck and Nancy or not attending the inauguration, how can you have a conversation? How can you heal when you're not even in the conversation?
That's right. You can't deal if, listen, you can't heal if you can't deal.
Well, that's why I'm so happy. I'm so happy that the widow of late Medgar Evers is going to be there, because she wants to talk about to President Trump and the rest of the, his administration about what they're doing on the civil rights issue. That'll be good.
Yeah. Diamond and Silk laying it out. Thanks, guys. As always, you boil it right down and give us the pulse of what's happening out there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
You got it.
All right, still ahead, a group of conservative students stands up for the flag after their fellow classmates protest. But now they are the ones getting punished.
Wait, the standards are getting published?
Yes.
Punished?
Plus,
We believe that every American should stand for the national anthem. And we proudly pledge allegiance to one nation under God. We don't sing a global anthem. Our troops don't wear a foreign uniform. And we will never surrender our rights to international tribunals. We won't do that. We proudly sing the Star-Spangled Banner.
Speaking of football, in just a few hours, the U.S. Military Academy will take on the U.S. Naval Academy in the 18th Army-Navy game.
Woohoo! Who you got?
I got Navy. They're going to win. It's
Army,
for sure. It's a certain thing.
All right, but for one Navy coach, it's more than just a game.
That's right. Fox and Friends first co-host Jillian Mealy is live from Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. Jillian, the president just talked about patriotism in our country. I know we'll see a lot of that today.
Oh, we will see so much of that today, and let's soak it in, right? We have to do that. Look, guys, Army is looking to make it 2 in a row this year, and I promise you, Pete, a little later in the show, we are going to take you to West Point. But for now, we want to take you back to Annapolis, where one fight has a whole nother battle on his hands, and it's been chronicled in Showtime's weekly series called A Season with Navy Football. Now, after all, this is America's game, and we want to introduce America to the Jaspers. An incredibly strong family, a remarkable young boy. The team had to make contingency plans in case Coach Jasper had to leave, because if he got that call, he just said, I got to go. He's got 2 hours to get there. So they do have plans in place. Our latest update from last night is that he will be here and that Jaron will be watching the game from home. But guys, what's incredible is this whole thing started from a routine physical at the doctor's office back in June. It was this summer. So just the fact that it's been a couple months and their lives have changed this drastically, it's incredible to see how football has actually helped Coach get through this.
Absolutely, Julie. And one thing that really struck me in that so moving story is we think about football as a team, but really I saw a family there, Jillian, a football family coming together, both sides.
Yes.
Julie,
you've got
let me ask you.
Your family at home, you've got your football family there.
Yeah.
Julie, let me ask you, as you've been talking to these teams, and I know you promised you're going to talk to Army, I don't know why, but maybe just repeat, but you talked to Army, as you talk to all the players, and as we saw in that package, it seems like this is so much bigger than just one game. Is that a sentiment you're feeling from everybody?
Absolutely. The game obviously means a lot to the country, to the players. The players say we're playing this game for the country. But when you look at the end of the day, it is just football, right? And you've got this 14-year-old boy who's waiting on a heart. It really puts things into perspective for a lot of people, I think.
Jillian Mealy, thanks for the report there for sure. It's more than just football. It's family, and it's the flag, and it's what they share together as brothers in arms, too. They'll all leave and go serve this country. So, Jillian, appreciate it. We'll get back to you for sure.
Amen. God bless them. Turning now to, of course, our headlines this morning and the Fox News alert. President Trump declaring a state of emergency, ordering federal aid to California as out-of-control wildfires ravage the state. This as the first fire-related death is confirmed. A 70-year-old woman's body found dead at the site of a car crash along an evacuation route in Ventura County. Medical examiners say she died from injuries sustained in the crash, smoke inhalation, and burns. Nearly 30 people hurt overnight, 4 of them seriously injured after a charter bus flips on its side. San Francisco fire crews prying open the back of the bus, helping most passengers to safety. It's believed everybody on board was heading to a holiday party. No other cars were involved. The cause of the crash is still under investigation. And the group says compelling student respect for students protesting the U.S. flag are preempted by U.S. flag code. An attorney for the district said the claims are frivolous. The lawsuit seeks changes to school policy and reinstatement for the club. And Olympic gold medal skier Lindsey Vonn in the headlines, saying that she'll represent our country at the 2018 Winter Games, but not our president. Vonn saying that she only represents the people of the United States. Mike Eruzione, a member of the 1980 Miracle on Ice team, joining us earlier, reacting to Vonn's comments.
I disagree. Again, I think you do represent the United States, and you represent our president and the White House and the people that stay in the White House.
The veteran skier added that she would not accept an invite to the White House. And those are your headlines this morning.
Yeah, I mean, you get kids kneeling when you have athletes who they look up to refusing. I mean, it's just, there's a self-feeding cycle sometimes, it feels like, of disrespect.
It is, or of protest, certainly. But now we'll toss to weather with Rick. What you got, Rick?
Hey, guys, we have Troop 32 from Huntington, New York here. Boy Scouts, you guys have been coming here for a few years. Welcome. We're happy you're here.
Hello.
Hello. Hey, so tell me, who is the highest ranking member here? And what's your rank?
Star Scout, sir.
You're a star. That's amazing. Are you going to be an Eagle?
Yes.
All right. How many of you guys are going to stay with us and be Eagle Scouts?
Me. Definitely me.
All right. I need all of your hands up. I was a Life Scout, which just means I quit right before Eagle, and it's one of the biggest disappointments I have in my life. Make sure you guys all stick with it. It's awesome. All right. Take a look at the weather. Show you what's going on this morning. It is obviously chilly here. We've got the snow that is beginning to fall here across parts of the Northeast after the big snow down across much of the South. Record-breaking snow for many areas, and areas from Texas to Florida. Everybody in the South getting snow from the storm, which is quite remarkable. The snow now moving in towards the Mid-Atlantic, towards the Northeast. By the time we're done across the Northeast, a lot of areas around 2 to 4 inches of snow by the time we get toward tonight. All right, guys. Hey, thank you very much for being with us this morning. Back to you inside.
All right. Thanks, Rick.